Today we're going to start thinking about characters. All people or creatures in stories are characters. So for example, on TV or in films we have Spider-Man or Olaf the Snowman from Frozen, and in books we have the Little Miss and Mr. Men characters, like Mr. Tickle on my mug here. And your puppet play is just the same. A really good place to start to think about what you want your story of your puppet play to be about is to think about the character or characters that are going to be in that story. You might decide that you want your character to be somebody that you know. Maybe it's you, or it could be your special person, or another family member. Or maybe you'd like to invent a person or a creature to be in your puppet play. It could be an animal or even a magical creature. All of these are different types of characters, but we think about them all in the same way. In your puppet play, you might decide you want to have just one character, and that character is going to speak to the audience, or to you, the puppeteer. Or maybe you decide that you want to have two characters, and they speak to each other. Or perhaps you want to make a few puppets and have several characters, and that's fine too. Whatever you'd like to do. Maybe you want to join up with any brothers or sisters to do your puppet play together, and then you can have lots of characters in your play. To begin creating our character, I want you to get a piece of paper and a pen or pencil, or I'm going to use this chalkboard here. You can also get a family member to help you with the writing of this bit if you want. Most important question you have to think about for your character is, what is their name going to be? So I'm going to use this monkey as my character, and we are going to call him Mr. Tickles. So I want you to write the name of your character in the middle of a piece of paper and draw a circle around it. Then we're going to think about what things your character likes. So Mr. Tickle likes, let me see, cats. He likes sleeping. And then maybe some things that he doesn't like. He doesn't like snakes. So you have a think about what your character likes and dislikes and write them into your character chart. Then we're going to start to think about some other aspects of your character. Maybe where they live, how old they are, maybe if they have any secrets. Alfred, where's your favourite place to hide when you play hide and seek?
Well, I probably shouldn't tell you this because it's a secret, but oh well, you pulled my teeth. My favourite place to go hiding when I play hide and seek is in the cupboard under the sink because nobody knows this. But when the water goes down the drain, you can make a wish and the water carries the wish to wherever you want it to go. And nobody knows that except me and... I guess you know now too.
Oh, Alfred. You can also think about what hobbies your character might have. What are they good at, or what do they like to do? Jilly Jellyfish, what do you love to do?
That's easy! My favourite thing to do is sing! Baby shark do 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 do, the baby shark do 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 do, the baby shark do 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 do, the baby shark!
Okay, Jilly, that's lovely, but we don't really have time for singing now, but maybe you could include a song in your video for your special person. Other things you can think about are, what is your character's secret wish? Mr. Tickles wants to be an astronaut. Or what is your character scared of? Mr. Tickles is scared of tractors. Charlie, is there anything you're really afraid of?
Charlie says to ask someone else. He's a little bit shy.
about you, Bobo? What are you afraid of?
Yeah, I have quite a bad sneezing problem, and well, I'm a little bit scared that one day I might sneeze on my teacher too.
So all of these things are really useful in coming up with the story of your puppet play. And even if you don't use all or even any of these facts in your actual play, they're really useful for helping to bring your character to life. And now Fionnuala is going to give you some other ways to think about bringing your characters to life. How you might move them, or what their voice sounds like, or other sounds they might use to communicate.
Hello again. So I think you got a proper chance to meet some of my little friends there, and they have big personalities. We're just before we move on to making voices and emotions for your characters, let's just go quickly back over what we did in the last video, which is how to manipulate your puppet. So very simple rule. When we are using our puppet, we, the puppeteers, we are going to look at our puppet as it moves, because then the audience will also look at the puppet, and that's how the puppet comes to life. Now I'm just going to show you an example with Charlie, who you met earlier on, and he's a little bit shy, as you saw. But what we can also do with our puppets is we can start to breathe life into them. So the puppets might very gently breathe. And with this sort of puppet, the gestures can be very small, but breathing helps bring this puppet to life. Other things that you might have noticed about the puppets is that all of them have a slightly different voice. Now that's completely up to you. So I decided with Bobo here, I thought he looked a little bit silly, and I thought a slightly funny voice might work for Bobo. Now, I'm not going to have the same voice for Bobo as I have for my little star here. In fact, some puppets, you don't even need to have voices, they can just make sounds. So this one, so you can play around with, do you think your puppet speaks or do you think your puppet makes sounds? If your puppet does speak, how do they speak? Do they have a low voice, a high voice? Do they speak very fast, like we saw with this fella? Speaks very fast. Because I thought, well, these look like teeth and he has a huge mouth, so I thought it would be funny if he talks really fast. Or they could speak very slow, like Bobo, so it's completely up to you. And what I would recommend is when you have your puppet, you can play around with it. So I would start by finding your puppet and just practice looking at the puppet and moving it. And when you've done that for a little while, you might start to think about, do they talk or do they make sounds? And if they do talk they talk a lot? Or are they very shy, like Charlie here? Charlie might say something a little bit later, but right now, Charlie is very shy, and that could become part of the story, but we're going to get to story in the next video. But what Charlie shows us too is that when we have a voice for our puppet, or an accent, or a sound that they make, then we can start to put emotion on it too. So, like we saw with Alfred, Alfred is a very excited character. And he talks a lot, he never wants to stop talking, and he's very excited and he loves secrets. So I've made that decision. Now, when I start playing with This puppet, I think this puppet is very serious. Very, very serious, and only wants to talk about serious things. Thank you very much. You see? So, what I'm going to recommend for you is that you play around with your puppet, practice different voices. It could be your own voice, and you might start to think about, is there a character emerging from this? Is there a story? And like Maisie was saying, start asking yourselves the question, where might this puppet live? What might this puppet do in its spare time? Do they have family? Are they lonely? Do they have loads of friends? Do they like to be looked at, or do they not like to be looked at? So go and have fun. Again, no big pressure. It's having a play and seeing what feels right. So before I made the video here, I tried different voices for all the puppets until I found the one that I felt, yeah, this is really fun and I think this could make a good story. I'm really, really excited to see all of your brilliant puppets at the end of this and your characters and to meet them. And just like I did with my puppets, you might want to give your character a name. I think Maisie said that already, but start with a name and then start to move them. I'm very excited. Good luck!